Some accounting systems show transaction amounts in one column with different signs for debits and credits. So that's what we have here. In this case, we use the single column entry in Sotozeo, typically STZ. So we copy the values in, paste them in here, and then we can put what narrative information we want to in order to make it easier to track the results. We then click on Next, and the pairs disappear down to the bottom, the simple pairs. The more complicated items are at the top. So we click on Calculate, and Sotozeo will find the matching. While it is doing that, we will have a look at a different accounting system format, which presents the debits and credits in separate columns. So this accounting system is presenting debits in one column and credits on the other column. So for that, we need a two-column format in Sotozeo. So we choose TCZ, and here we have extra columns. Now, a little tip is that you can post the narrative information twice, just like that, for both columns, and then put the values in afterwards. The one thing you need to watch if you're doing that is that when you come to this column with blanks at the top, you do include the blanks. So you paste it in like that. So Sotozeo will ignore entries where you have 0, even if there's some narrative, but you do need to get it so that that number aligns with the relevant label. So then we click on Next. The simple pairs appear at the bottom, this time horizontally rather than vertically because they're in two columns. And then we click on Calculate, and while that is processing, we will look at a third format from an accounting system. This time the debits and credits are in separate columns again, but this time with different signs. So we go to TCZ again, put in the narrative and the values. So as an example, let's see what happens if we just click Next now. So we don't get any pairs at the bottom, and the numbers here have opposite signs on the two sides, which isn't what we want. When you're reviewing this stage, you would expect to have predominantly the same signs on the two sides. So if we go back, what we should have done was click on Swap Signs. It does nothing on this screen, but when you click on Next, it does give us exactly the same format as we had in the previous version. So then we click on Calculate to get to the history of our lists. And now we look at the results. In the result for the first list we ran, it is particularly obvious to see the transactions which net out because it shows you that they sum to 0, and therefore the open items are these numbers at the top here. In the results for the two-column entries, we see the transactions which net out because the relevant amounts from the two columns sum to the same total here and here, and again for there and there. So the 0 is obtained by subtracting the two amounts, and that's the amount that appears there. In both cases, if what you actually want is the transactions which do not net out, then one option is to just read them off the top here. If there are more of them, or you chose a different sort order where they do not appear together, you can go back a page to this list and open up the CSV file to sort as required.